All right, Michael, my favorite part of these students' fabrication of history or just ignorance about history is that they don't just say that this was a genocide, they say it is an ongoing genocide.
Of course, they refer to the official history of Thanksgiving, and they say that the history in the textbooks is completely untrue. The trouble is, they've never read those textbooks. They couldn't tell you what that history is. All they've been told by their teachers is that the history is untrue, and all that you really need to know about it is that, I don't know, white Englishmen bad and Indians good, and there was a genocide. But of course, there was nothing of the kind. The real history, if anyone would ever care to open up those textbooks, is unbelievably interesting. When, as you mentioned, when the Pilgrims landed on the Mayflower at Plymouth, the hand of Providence was so obvious. The one person in the entire Western Hemisphere who was a Native American who had a decent knowledge of the English language was Squanto. Squanto was a Patuxet Indian who had been kidnapped. He goes to Spain. He's freed by Catholic monks. He becomes a Catholic, which is kind of ironic because he's the one who saved all the Puritans, makes it to London, makes it back to the North American continent. His entire people are wiped out. He's taken as a slave. He's taken as a prisoner by Massasoit, who's the head of the Pokanoket Indians, and he happens to be there. He leads these pilgrims and actually brokers a peace treaty. So what's so frustrating about the leftist revisionism on Thanksgiving and the Pilgrims is it actually reduces the Indians to these sort of subhuman entities. The Indians were very sophisticated thinkers. These were human beings like you and me. And the Massasoit, the chief of these Indians, decided through Squanto to make a deal with the Englishmen. He used them as a wedge to fight off the Narragansett Indians. He created the whole Wampanoag Nation. They all flourished because of this, and they gave great thanks for both Providence and the human ingenuity that led them to have this wonderful partnership that endured for generations. That's the true history of Thanksgiving. That's something that we should give thanks for instead of this ridiculous history that degrades not only our ancestors, but degrades the Native Americans themselves.
Right, and it's ironic, too, that the social justice warriors who call Thanksgiving capitalist BS, they're the ones who actually prefer the rabid materialism of Black Friday to the holiday of Thanksgiving. Let me push back on one thing you said. So you said if these social justice warriors had actually opened a textbook, they would know this. And I would contend that the radical left has overtaken even our textbooks. I mean, they've written it into the material, the curriculum that they teach. This isn't some rogue teacher that's spouting nonsense and fabricating history in order to try to indoctrinate youth. This is actually in our history books now. In order to find out the truth about Thanksgiving, you have to do what you did or what I did and actually dive into historical references and look for the truth, because it's not easily accessible, because it would hurt the Democrats for it to be easily accessible.